Hey, and welcome back to another one of my videos, and today I will be talking about racism. I've been learning about racism for a few weeks now, and I've really enjoyed the subject. But there are quite a few things I wanted to talk about, questions that I had, things that I learned, and just some things that I know now that I didn't know before. So, without further ado, let's get started. The first thing I want to talk about is actually about how bad racism is here in Canada and in the entire world, really, because it is really bad, and people think that it has improved so much, which it has, but it has got nowhere near the point where it should be. And even me personally, I always thought that racism wasn't really a big deal anymore. It was still there, but it wasn't as there as it was before, and it wasn't that bad, but I was sorely mistaken. Racism here in Canada and in the entire world really is really bad, and it's still there. It may not be as noticeable to a lot of people, but it's still there, and that is the main issue. So I did some research to figure out what are some things that we can do as people to improve this, and to help improve the life of African American people here in Canada and other places in the world, and to try and stop or improve racism. So number one, the first thing that I'm going to talk about is how we need to encourage those people and encourage them to stand up for themselves and stand up for other people, stand up for their fellow people, stand up for their fellow peers, stand up for just everything about them, stand up for their rights. They need to stand up. And that is a big thing about this. A lot of people don't stand up. They just live their life going on about it. Now, there are a lot of people standing up for themselves and for other people, and that is great. That is a great start, but we need more people to stand up. That was number one. Let's go on to number two. Number two is still basically the same as the first, but us as people like me and others, all my neighbors, everyone needs to stand up for those people as well. And we really, if we see them being bullied or called names or being treated wrong, we need to intervene and get in there and try to help them, because they are people. And that is another thing. We need to understand that these people, they're not we can't just see them for the color of their skin or for the way they talk or from where they come from. We need to see them as people, because that's who they are. That's what they are. That they are people. They're exactly like us. They may have a different color of skin, or they may come from a different place or a different background, different religion, but they're still people. They're just people. And to put it simply, yeah. So that was number two. And now we go into number three. The third thing is really a personal idea that I had. It's just a opinion, my own personal opinion, and that is, I really do think that racism, if someone was caught being racist to some person or whatever, it should be against the law. They should be punished through the law, because it's not right. They're people. So why aren't we standing up for these people? Why isn't that happening? And that is a question that I had. I want to know why this is such a big thing, even though you'll hear all these different places and all these different companies and all these things, and the government saying that they're working on it, but the thing is, they've been working on it forever. They've been working on it for years upon years upon years, but it hasn't improved. It improved quite a bit at one point, and it just got so much better at that point, but then it just flattened out. It just flatlined. There was no more improvement. Maybe some here and there, but it was very small things. So we really need to start working and improving our justice system and our communities and our lives now, because it's not right and it needs to change. So let's work together and really try to stand up for these people. One thing that I really did enjoy learning about in this unit was basically I learned a lot about slavery and the African American people and how they were actually taken from different parts of Africa and transported over for a life of slavery. They were treated terribly. They weren't paid. They were slaves. And not just that, but they were also beaten and treated so bad, and it was terrible. And it honestly hits me hard, because it's just sad that people would actually do that and think that that's okay, because it's not. Now, this was quite a long time ago, but that doesn't change the fact that it is wrong. And these people should have been punished. Some were, but a lot were not. And that is not right. So yeah, that's one thing that I learned. I thought that slaves could have been anyone, white, black, anyone. But it turns out that at one point, the only people that were mainly known to be slaves, or basically, if you seen them out on the streets, you thought that they were a slave or that they were owned by someone, and that was black people. And that was something that really surprised me, because I thought it could have been anyone. I never really knew that at one point slaves were mainly known as black people or African American people. And it really hurt me to hear that, because it's sad that that was an actual thing, and it's still in our history. It's Canadian history, it's American history, and it's in our history, even though it may not happen today, and I didn't do anything like that, or you didn't do anything like that. It's still in our history, and it's still as if you did do it, and if I did it, and it still feels like me or you did that, because it's in our history, and our history is us, because we live in this country, and we're all one. We're all one community, and we work together, and we fight for each other, or at least that's how it should be. So that's one thing that I learned, and it was, I think, my number one thing that I learned. One more thing that I learned that I found really interesting was the history about the town called Birchtown. Birchtown was actually a town that was made by African American people once they were kicked out of a province. And I just found that it was so interesting to find out that these African American people were so resourceful, and they actually made their own place, their own town, where African American people that were just kicked out of different places could call home. And it was a beautiful community. And I loved researching about that, because I just found it so interesting. One thing I would have wanted to learn a little bit more about was the slavery aspect of it, and how it happened, who would have those types of slaves. I just really thought it would be really interesting to learn more about that, like what you would need to have one, how much it would cost if you have to pay for one, who would you have to be to have one, and all this other stuff, and how they got it, and how they would sell them off, or different things like that. I really wanted to know how they did everything and how everything worked, because really, if all these slaves were around and everything, and everybody thought that every time that you seen a black person that they were owned by someone, then how did they get them? How did that happen? And that's one thing that I would have really liked to learn a little bit more about. But the main thing from this video is my question. And my question is a very big question, and I don't think anyone would be able to answer this question. And that is, if racism is so bad and we know this and the government knows this, why aren't we doing anything about it? Why are police officers and all these other people still being racist towards people, and why are there still so many racists out there if this is such a big issue? Why haven't we done something about it? And that is my main question. And same thing for my last video that I did on my PSA. I still think that really everyone should see everyone as people, and if we can fix that, and if everybody changes their views and sees everyone, no matter the color, the religion, no matter anything about them, we see them as people, racism would just go away. But unfortunately, getting everyone to see everyone as people isn't as easy as it's said, and that's the sad part. But really, I thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I really do hope you enjoyed and you learned something from this. I'm still learning a lot about this subject, and I would really like to learn more. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you did enjoy. And yeah, I'll see you all next time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and hit that bell notification button. And yeah, see see y'all later. Bye.